And good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Tom Smith with the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society in America. And tonight we have a fun kind of special edition, double feature, if you will. Tonight we're going to be checking out a vaults collection that apparently isn't really too exciting to a lot of folks, but we're going to pop it open anyway, that we're releasing next week. And to help me with that and some other fun whiskey, we are going to be joined in just a moment by my colleague and counterpart in Shanghai. So New York to Shanghai tonight. We're connecting the dots of this global society, and we're really excited. So if you guys are with me now and ready to have a dram, why don't you pour something? I have a little guy right here that I am wetting my whistle with. Nice 8 p.m. dram. So pour anything you like and let us know about it in the comment section. My main man Ben is in there and we'll be fielding some questions. I'll also be grabbing some questions as well. I'm still learning how to handle all this stuff, so bear with me. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And without further ado, it is 9 a.m. in Shanghai, and I think it's time for a drink for our friend Christina Leung, who is the director of the Chinese chapter of the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. So please put your virtual hands together and welcome my friend Christina.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
How are you?
All right, I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure to have you. Thanks so much for joining us. I know it's kind of early in China right now, but I imagine it's whiskey time for you. You have something in your hand?
Off time.
Very nice. Well, listen, I've had a long day, so let's get right to it. Let's have a quick little slangeva. Thank you so much for having us, everyone out there. Thanks so much for joining us. It should be a fun little few minutes.
Very much looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have a quick sip. Slangeva, everyone.
Slangeva, everyone. It's a really nice one.
I could do worse. Christina, I am kicking it off this evening with cask 24.139. Oh, help me. There we are. Can you read that okay?
Yes, I'm having the same bottle here as well.
Lovely. So in very different time zones, the same beautiful, beautiful cask that we're sharing. This is a vaults collection cask that I think a lot of folks should be familiar with at this point. And it's just such a delight to keep going back to it as the bottle depletes, as that whiskey, once it's opened, changes a little bit. And right now I'm having actually a pretty serious and precise dram. The nose is really booming with all kinds of like maple confection and beautiful cabinet spices and that sort of thing. A little bit of breakfast meat in there. Is it bacon? But just the precision of it is really just tremendous. This cask continues to really surprise and delight me every time I come back to it.
I feel there are some crystallized plums, some crystallized fruits.
Very nice.
Wow.
And you can just smell the texture. It really comes through just the volume of the whiskey. So we want to kind of get to know each other tonight, a little bit. And we're going to get to Chinese New Year, and I am absolutely like really looking forward to that because I know very little about it. I know plenty about our New Year's, but I really look forward to learning more about that from you. But first, I have a few questions
Of course.
I'm more of a society beat because, you know, we're both running organizations in our respective countries. And, you know, I just want to know, maybe let's start here. As far as the Chinese, like how do they embrace single cask whiskey? What are they generally enjoying? How do they enjoy it? What are like favorites and that sort of thing? I have a whole list of questions right in front of me, so I'm trying not to look down too much. But let's start there, you know?
Of course, happy to share a little bit of information about China.
Sure.
Yeah, everybody knows we have a lot of people. I'm one of them. Apart from that, talking about the whiskey, whiskey is a very small part in China. So China is a very popular of the white spirits. In Chinese, we call it Baijiu. Baijiu means bai means white, and jiu means spirits. So it's also high ABV spirits, but made with grains in a different method of making. So that's a really popular. So the overall spirits market was driven by the Baijiu, which is a white spirits. It's taking 97% in terms of volume terms. So how big the market is, it's 108 billion bottles a year. So that's the size of the Baijiu market.
That is impressive. And you mentioned it's made out of grain. What kind of grains are you talking about?
There are different kinds of grains, such as wheat, corns, and there's a special grain called sorghum.
Ah, right. Okay.
Right. So that's the majority of the three elements mixing together, and some of the white spirits made from rice as well.
Oh.
Right.
Interesting, but no barrel age. You said that these are clear spirits or white spirits.
Clear spirits, no color. Okay. They don't put it into the barrels or no casks, but they put it into the porcelain jars under the ground.
Under the ground.
Under the ground to keep the temperature stabilized.
Okay.
I think that's the main reason of it.
Nice. So some old school temperature control there.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. So I wonder then, you know, if you're planting in different soils, does it impact? I guess not, because it's in glass.
Because it's a porcelain.
Yeah. I'm always looking for terroir somewhere. You know, I'm always searching. Very, very interesting. So I'm sorry, I feel like I kind of interrupted you. Are there other
it's really more part of it, because Baijiu is 97% of this 108 billion bottles. And whiskey in general, including the blended whiskey, like I don't want to mention the brands anyway, like Chivas or Johnny Walker, including them as well, is taking only 0.5% of the market.
Wow.
So very small, and among them, single malt is really small. I cannot tell a number because you will be bored by the zeros.
Right, I see. Wow. So, I mean, certainly an emerging market, barely emerging. I mean, probably, you know, in its not even infancy, in its primordial stages. So, I guess a lot of work to be done to catch up to Baijiu. I want to take a minute and just welcome some folks in the chat. John Stabler was first. Great to have you. Mr. Ryan, Mr. Cleric, Matt, how are you? Cliff, miss you, buddy. Hope to see you back in the old stomping grounds soon. Evan, hello. Hope Kentucky doesn't have too much snow right now. Jonathan Hopwood, thanks for coming. And Tate, new to the Whiskey Society. Well, welcome, Tate. I'm Tom. I run the U.S. chapter, and this is Christina. And she runs the China chapter. So we're just a couple of directors hanging out, having a good time, tasting some good stuff. So great to have you here. And if you have any questions, Ben, who is going to be taking care of a lot of the chat inquiries, will be happy to shoot off some stuff to you, because I'm just not that talented yet. I'm getting there. Anyway, so wow, that's really surprising to me that such a a fraction of the imbibing is attributed to Scotch whiskey, to either single malt or blends. And I guess wine is fairly popular, or at least has gained some traction over the last few years.
Yes,
kind of fine wine.
right. Right is quite popular now, and single malt whiskey actually is rising from a very small base. It's barely started being accepted or welcomed by the rising middle class in China around 2005. So it's only less than 20 years. It's the development. So we see the single malt whiskies growing in China is around 24% year on year in terms of volume.
Wow, wonderful. So it's just going to keep going up. So good for the society, I guess. So when did you found, or when was the chapter in China started, and how have you seen membership develop?
We entered China at the end of the 2017. Actually, we kick off our first page on the web. It's in Christmas time. It's December the 26th. It's a Boxing Day. So that's the time when we firstly entered the China in the 2017. It's around 3 years time. Now, SMWS in China, we have 13,000 followers on our WeChat. It's a social media. And we have more than 1,200 members.
All right. Wow. Well, in just, in just not even 4 years, that's pretty good. When I took over from Alan Shane, the Shane family, who started the society in 1992, we took over in 2016, kind of, clandestinely at first, and then we were a bit more visible. But at that point in July of 16, there were maybe about 2,800 members. Yeah, so 2,800 over the course of a couple of decades, so it sounds like you are off to a fantastic start. And with the trends that you're talking about, seems like you might be running out of whiskey like we sometimes do pretty soon.
And our members, I think, I don't know the profile of the members of the China, whether it's similar to the US members. Most of our members are quite young. They are around age 30 to 45.
That's pretty close. That's very, very close, actually, to our demographic. Our average demographic is right around there, about 30 to 50 for us. So yeah, so that's quite similar. Yeah.
And they are from different kind of backgrounds, and we have members quite diversified in around 30 different provinces. So provinces is similar to the states concept in US. So in another term, it's there from 30 different states. So the farthest distance between two members could be over 6,000 kilometers.
That is quite a trip. Wow.
Yeah. So one is in the very northwest part in like Tibet. We have members in Tibet as well, and the other one is in the very south part of China. It's in Hainan. So their distance is around 6,000 kilometers. My
goodness, that is it's quite a walk. So so then, do you have brand ambassadors in each of these provinces, or how do you handle that? I guess maybe these days it's more virtual anyway, but how would you typically handle the the geographic distance between all of these members?
Oh, luckily we have the digital nowadays. So we have only one brand ambassador, based in Shanghai, as me. Same as me, so we all based in Shanghai. Yeah. So we do a lot of online tasting, online chatting, just like this one. Our brand ambassador will travel around to different provinces to host the offline tasting as well. Oh,
wow. So you're racking up the frequent flyer miles for sure.
Our brand ambassador, he is.
Wow, that's incredible. So when you're with members either virtually or in person, before things went kind of crazy, I mean, education is always what we're kind of aiming for. That's a big foundation of what we're trying to do. And of course, it's also very much about the camaraderie of the different members and our shared love for whiskey. But we also want to, we want to get some education in there too, wherever possible. So what sort of educational elements are you employing, especially for what sounds like a pretty burgeoning Scotch whiskey market?
We have 2 members group in our WeChat. So it's a like social media platform. We have 2 members group. Each members group, we have around 420, 450 people. So on the different 2 groups. So 2 groups, we are holding around 800, more than 800 people there. We do some regular sharing section. We have a evening session called the Votes Night. So that's every Wednesday evening from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, 1 hour time. Sometimes our brand ambassador will share the whiskey informations, knowledges, or we will invite other distilleries, brand ambassadors to the Votes Night section to share the brand they are represented of. Also, we sometimes invite some lifestyle people to share the insights from their categories. For example, we invited a bespoke shoe making people who share how to make bespoke shoes, how to evaluate that, how to purchase one good for you, and tailor-made suits, and also the watch brands as well.
Oh wow! So you're bringing all different elements, not just educational, but lifestyle and wow, it sounds like you have a lot going on, and that's all happening on WeChat.
It's all happening on WeChat, right?
So you've brought this up a couple of times. I have heard of WeChat. I'm not that familiar with it, but it sounds like there's some excitement behind it. And is that something that that members like kind of, can you just tell us how it works, and is that helping to foster this sense of community, especially in the times where we can't really get together in person?
I think it's more like a combined version of the WhatsApp and the Facebook. So you will have it's like a chatting room. So 400 members will gather around. They can talk to each other. So we can share information to each other. So when you speak in the group, everybody knows that. That's the way we do it. Similar to the Facebook, I think. Okay. But the outlook, the look of it is probably similar to the WhatsApp.
All right, interesting. I'm naive to just about all forms of social media except this stuff here. So so you'll have to forgive me, but no, that's interesting. I mean, and it sounds like you can do a lot of different things there. You're not too highly regulated within the WeChat platform. So you can share a lot of different content and that sort of thing. For instance, can like members trade bottles and stuff like that through this, or that's something you don't permit?
Trade bottles within the WeChat?
Yeah.
They don't do it in our WeChat group, because we also have every house have a rule, so we have our rules as well. So we basically share anything about whiskey, anything related to whiskey.
Interesting.
So but no advertising, no trading. So
okay.
Commercial. We don't want
to have to behave. Very good. Very good.
That like we are the friends. So if you don't want to bother your friends of too many other things, then don't do it.
That sounds like some good house rules. That sounds like a good house rule to me, for sure. Let's go back to this whiskey for a second. You had mentioned to me before we started here tonight that that you got some feedback from your members on 24.139. Do you want to share a few of those thoughts with us?
Of course. We have already sold it. We have already sold it the last year of the 24139. I asked a few members because I know the 60 sections. I asked some members to share me their tasting notes, which I can share to you. So this one is from one of our members. He's from China. His business is Chinese tea. So tea is his major business, and whiskey is definitely his very favorite hobbies. And he is a huge fan of society because society give him a lot of chances of exploring different flavors, and also he get to know a lot of different distilleries from the society. So he's a big fan. So he tasted the 24139. It's 30 years first fill barrel. Ex-sherry. His feedback is it's really round. It's when you taste it, it's a very full body, like it's waves of different kind of sweetness coming on your palate, and when you smell it, you can feel strong crystallized plum, crystallized fruits, and it has some taste and smell of the purple sweet potato soup. So it's like sweet potato soup, but this potato is the sweet potato is the purple one. So the special kind of. You can feel a lot of sugar tremella soup with Chinese wolfberry.
Chinese wolfberry?
Yeah, it's some red little dry fruit. Okay,
so maybe like a currant in the U.S. or something like that.
One of the currants, one cousins of the U.S. currants, I believe.
Ah, perfect. Yeah, nice.
Allergies of it.
Wow, I love this. This is great. So, being in tea for a living, I imagine his palate is pretty fine tuned to this sort of thing. He's coming up with some very interesting aromas, flavors, and of course now I'm totally getting in spades.
And he shared me some insights between the whiskey and tea. He felt they are quite similar in terms of the smell and the taste. So it's quite waves of waves. It's complexity with the complexity. Sometimes with floral, fruity, or tea also have peaty flavor as well. So mineral, peaty. So he felt these two items, or tea and the whiskey, they have some underlying bonding between each other.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, we're exploring flavor, right? It depends on the medium we choose, or we can choose several different mediums, but it's all an exploration of these different aromas and flavors. And, you know, when you're into that sort of thing, it doesn't have to just be whiskey. You know, it could be tea. For me, barbecue as well. I like to get into different types of barbecue and really kind of pull those things apart. But we actually have a question from Daniel Cleric in our chat, and I had this question as well. Daniel's curious to know which of the flavor profiles from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society are the most popular in China.
There are a few. One is the dry fruit.
Deep, rich, and dry fruit.
Deep, rich, and dry fruit. That's really favored by the Chinese consumers.
Yeah.
That's because of their palates. We are used to quite strong taste food. So that match very well with the food. And the second one is the sweet, fruity, and mellow. So that one is very popular as well. And the third one is peat. And so the peat, of course, it's quite polarized. Either you like it, either you hate it. So that's quite popular among our members as well. So that would be the three top flavors.
Well, I know Matt Ryan, who's watching, he's pretty lukewarm on peat, but most of our members really like it. But I would have to say there are a lot of similarities there with the American members. Certainly peated, deep, rich, and dried fruit. And then you have like sweet, fruity, and mellow, juicy oak and vanilla, but behind that. that are very popular as well. So yeah, that's interesting how the different foods that you come up with maybe impact the whiskeys that you're going after. And whether it's just, you know, you'll talk a lot about, in America, we'll talk about the Coca-Cola palate of Americans. You know, we're like raised in this Coca-Cola sort of sweetness sort of, you know, time. And we would thus gravitate to something sweeter. So maybe that's just a general feel, but also when we're talking about food pairing, you said that you know, in China you have very full flavored foods. So the deep, rich, and dried fruit really goes well with that. So that's a question I have here. We like to certainly promote whiskey and food pairing. It's not quite as straightforward sometimes as wine and food pairings, but still, I think if anyone's been to the vaults in Edinburgh and had you know, a dinner with whiskey pairing, you know, there is certainly room for whiskey with your food. So my question for you is this whiskey and food pairing of interest to your members? And if you could give us some examples maybe of some pairings that work well in China. And maybe that's a province-based answer. I'm sure the food, kind of the styles and cuisines vary from province to province, but you know, if you have something to share.
Oh yes, actually there are so many kinds of Chinese food. It can be very different. So there are 8 different kind of houses of the food flavors. So from the south part, it's more seafood driven. It's more light palate. So it's fresh because the food is so fresh. So the method of making it is very simple. Just steam or even sometimes sashimi. So that's the south part of the food palette. And in north part, however, it's more deep fried toast. So quite different. And in the west part of China, is put a lot of spicy and the peppers into it to make it very rich in flavor and sometimes really hot. For example, when we talk about the whiskey flavors, the deep, rich, and dry fruit, it goes very well with the fruit with a little bit of oiliness, sweetness, sweet and saltiness combined together. It's more rich flavor, like roast pork. So roast pork is more like a similar to the barbecue pork, but put a lot of honey, sugar onto it.
Nice.
And, it goes very well with the Peking duck as well.
Ah, very good.
Peking duck, you will have the very oily, thick, thin, and the crispy skins. So when you bite it, it's like a crunchy in your mouth, and to go along with the whiskey, it's a perfect match.
Nice. So we have some food connoisseurs rolling in here. So Malty Alti says, I bet fried dumplings would go great with whiskey. I imagine they would. And I don't know, pick your sauce, I guess, and then pick your whiskey, because it's all going to be pretty good. And then my buddy John Amira out in Hawaii says young key goose and sherry cask. Forgive my my naivete, but can you elaborate on young key goose? Or maybe John has to for us. Do you know what young key goose is? No? John, help us out. Tell us what young key goose is, because I'm now like completely enthralled by it. But anyway, he says with a sherry cask, that would be very good. So something I love to eat is it's takeout called Xi'an Famous Foods, and it's from a Western province. They use a lot of peppers, a lot of oil, and I wonder, probably deep, rich, and dried fruit would go well with a lot of that. But I wonder if I guess you could contrast. You could do something very spicy with something very sweet, or you could complement and do do spice with spice, for instance. So I wonder. I'll have to try some of that out. Maybe we'll do that when we all get back together. We'll get some takeout and just dive in. But that's great. I mean, that's wonderful. I think especially for your members, maybe have them in one of your get-togethers. Have them create some dishes and pair it with the whiskeys that they have. Because with the society, we have so many different bottles and so many different flavors out there that, I mean, the combinations I think are probably close to endless.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and we'll do that too. We need to get more into it, I guess, with food and whiskey pairing. Let me see here. I've gone over a few of these questions. Here's a good one. We see a lot of whiskey distilleries in Asia now, specifically in Japan, in Taiwan, and India. Are there distilleries for whiskey, malt whiskey, in China, either established or maybe being developed or in the works right now?
Oh yes, actually Pernod Ricard, if you have already heard of it. So Pernod Ricard has invested in 2019 to build a malt whiskey distillery in Sichuan, so west part of China, in Sichuan Emei Mountain. This place is where if you have watched the Kung Fu Panda, so that's the hometown of the Kung Fu Panda.
Okay.
So that's the first distillery invested in China, but it's not yet in operation yet. They're still building it.
Okay.
And, I think they plan to have their first. No time for the whiskey yet because they only just built it in 2019. I suspect they probably can still whiskey. It's maybe from this year or early next year.
And it is a malt whiskey?
It's definitely it's a malt whiskey. So the name is called Pernod Ricard Malt Whiskey Distillery.
Okay, they're just going right for Pernod Ricard.
Right.
Skipping over any local nuance. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, go for the detail anyway. But lovely to probably in the future, if you can visit China when the pandemic's gone. So where you can visit China, you can go to visit the distillery. My understanding is that they're building the visitor center as well.
Oh, nice. And you just brought up possibly visiting China at some point. Let's fast forward to a beautiful world where we can all fly again and visit far-reaching places. So as an American member flying to either Shanghai or Hong Kong or wherever we may go, are there bars that carry society whiskeys that you suggest that we visit?
We have around 20 partner bars in China in around 16 cities.
Oh, wow. Great.
Moment. Yes, really welcome to China, Beijing, and Canton, and even Sichuan to meet the Kung Fu Panda. So if you come to China, let me know. I'm very happy to be the host for all of you. And there are a few bars that are quite interesting in China. So there are a few I highly recommend. One is Celavi. So Celavi is on the boat. You can have a very good view on the Huangpu Yangtze River, and with all the scene of the boat. So that's definitely a place to go. And another one is called Vaults.
It's called Vaults?
Vaults, because they have the window.
Nice, yeah.
The shape is yeah. So the one's called Vaults. They have more than 158 SMWS products in the bars.
Wow.
Yes.
That's pretty tremendous.
Spend a very good evening over there. And another one is called Maison Artois. So that's a club. It's a very good club. You can chat, have whiskey, and cigar, popular cigar as well. So it's a very nice cigar whiskey bar.
Very nice.
Oh.
And I believe you said you would be our personal host.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
That's wonderful. Okay, well, I probably have a couple dozen people who would want to go over there with me, so maybe we'll take a field trip someday.
Fantastic, and I'm happy to invite you to share to taste the Peking duck or the roast pork. Or
absolutely.
Different kinds of dumplings.
I am all in on all of that, believe me. And just a quick update on our Young Key Goose. John tells us it's a Hong Kong restaurant in the central, like a roast duck, but like a Peking duck, I guess, but a goose. You know, a bit more savory, I suppose. So I'm glad that we solved the mystery of the Young Key duck, of the Young Key goose, rather. And I have one more question, like kind of society related. And I don't know, it just seems appropriate to ask, how do you pronounce the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society in Chinese? And is there like a nickname or something for it?
Mm-hmm. So prepare for this. It's gonna be long. 苏格兰麦芽威士忌协会. So that's the full name of the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society.
Could you say that again, please?
All right. Repeat it. So follow me.
Yeah, I will. Okay.
Anyway, 苏格兰
苏格兰
麦芽威士忌协会. Yes. So the Sugarland is the fantastic.
Nice.
麦芽 means malt. 威士忌 is whiskey. 协会 means society.
Wow. So is there? Do you say that in its entirety each time, or is there do you say SMWS?
Normally we will say only the last word. It's called the 协会. It's called the society.
协会.
Mottos, society members in the society, our society.
I like that.
Society.
I like that. Yeah. Sure. Very nice. Cool. So, all right. So we have another whiskey to taste. Yes. And I'm very excited for this. So I guess this is kind of the other, you are, of course, the brightest star. If this whiskey is a star, you, my friend, are the Northern Lights, for sure. But we do have one other whiskey to try tonight that I just got in the whiskey mail that I'm very excited for. So I haven't even actually opened this yet. So in my beautiful Scotch Malt Whiskey Society Vaults Collection box, there you are. You can see all that fun detail. Tucked away in here is cask 29.273. Ooh. Do not go gentle into that good night. Ooh, boy. So let's pop this puppy open. Ooh, there we are. I still don't get used to going the opposite way. And you've already released this, correct?
Yes, it's sold out in seconds.
Sold out in seconds. Do you hear that, Matt? Seconds. So you guys are going to have nimble fingers. Yeah. So like I said, I haven't even opened this yet. So let me pop this open real quick. This will be our latest and February release of the Vaults collection. For those of you who are newer to the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, the Vaults collection is what we consider our prestige line. Only a few of them are released each year, and they represent some of the rarest casks that we have amongst the inherently rare casks that we sort of shepherd from cask to your liquor shelf. So this is a pretty special one. This is aged 25 years in a second fill ex-bourbon barrel. This is from distillery number 29 on a little piece of land called Islay. I'm sure a few of you have heard of that. And with a name like this, I feel like this must be pretty special stuff. So I'm pretty excited to try it. I'll apologize in advance, members, for taking a bottle away from you. But, you know, somebody's got to do it. Unfortunately for Ben, I'm not going to share this. So sorry, dude. You'll have to live vicariously through me. All right, let me get this up on the banner. So we're going to now shift to more of a celebratory. I mean, certainly we're celebrating all kinds of things tonight, but a literally celebratory mode in Chinese New Year, which is coming in a few days. But first, oh my. I don't know if you guys can see. Let me try and hold it up against my wall there. Can you? Yeah, it's the best I can probably do. But a pretty nice, you know, like medium, sort of not kind of light gold color. Certainly indicative of an ex-bourbon barrel. Oh. Mm. Jesus. That is nice. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'll get my I'll get my act together in a second here.
It's a really powerful one.
That's a really gorgeous note. So I've just popped this bottle. So this has been closed for probably several months at least. I'm actually going to leave this open. I will probably revisit it. Wow. And this ABV is 57.4. So, you know, for 25 years, not a terrible amount of angel share there. Well, this is just a really elegant expression of peat. I'm just getting this really nice mixture of maritime, of vanilla, of honey, of a very distant, I mean, iodine, like a trace of that medicinal character, just a trace, a whisper.
It's indeed very elegant.
It's more embers and very light smoke. And this is an old and dignified flavor profile, we should mention. I mean, there is plenty of peat here, plenty. But it's not overpowering the other aromatics. I mean, everything is just playing together really beautifully. When will this be available? Everyone take out your pen and paper. This will be available on Tuesday of next week, the 9th of February, released at 1 p.m. Central Time. 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Central. Two o'clock in the afternoon the following day in Shanghai. Woo! What do you think, Christina?
Oh, it's really strong, but this is really powerful. I think this is a really powerful one.
Oh, so my goodness.
It's matched very well with Don't Go Gentle with Every Night. I feel a lot of sandalwoods, some citrus fruit freshness as well. So it's very vibrant as well, although it's a 25 already.
Yes, absolutely. That freshness that you speak of is a perfect way to describe that. That is a vibrant, electric palate. I mean, there are flavors just leaping all over the place in there. I mean, that's really incredible.
I feel some wax when you taste it. So um,
Wow. Oh, that's a good one, kids.
it's really a good one.
That's a really nice one. That's a, I mean, a beautiful expression. You know, distillery, I've always found that Distillery 29, you were talking about peat being polarizing. This is arguably the most polarizing distillery in Islay. And, it's interesting how the official bottlings versus our single casks, I think, are consistently rather different. I don't think we get nearly as much of the super hardcore antiseptic iodine that that you typically get out of a, say, a distillery number 29 tenure. I almost slipped there. But yeah, you know, this has lots of that lovely confection, that fruit you were talking about, the citrus. But the peat is giving a lot of structure to all of these flavors on the palate as well. You feel the tannins from the cask.
And the complexity of the flavors as well, and it's really, really long lasting.
And I mean, in fairness, this is not how you enjoy this whiskey. We're tasting very quickly and just kind of, you know, throwing things out there. But to take our time with this, you know, and enjoy this over the course of, say, a half hour at least, for a small dram, there's going to be a lot more that we get out of it as well. But the first impression is one of intensity, of freshness, as you said, of really beautiful structure and complexity. And there's just such a nice core of peat smoke running throughout it, but it doesn't ever overpower the other parts of the flavor profile. It's a beautiful balance here.
Yeah, they're combining very well. And I tasted with a few of our members back to a few weeks ago. So we took around an hour to taste it, to feel the changes of it. So it will change. So take your time when you taste it. The first dram is probably quite different from the one that you are going to taste in half an hour.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking at the comments here. So our friends down in Australia were saying that Whiskey and Ailment, the partner bar, they're called 29.273, the best 29 ever released. No kidding, says our friend Matt. So Mr. Bailey, I hope you're well. And I mean, I'm sure you've had a lot of 29s. I have had several 29s. I'm absolutely impressed. Is it the best 29 ever? Possibly, for sure. I might have to taste it next to a couple of others. But wow, this is really, really beautiful stuff. So
yeah, it's a good idea to do a 29 vertical tasting.
To actually so Daniel's saying, so you were saying to actually go gentle. No, rage against the dying of the light.
Against the dying of the light.
Exactly. So let's talk about Chinese New Year for a second.
Hey.
A little birdie told me that you dress up in red. So I found the closest I have. You know, I'm all about plaid and gingham. That's just how I roll. So I found a nice little gingham red. Tell me a bit about Chinese New Year. I mean, if you can, the kind of customs and then a little bit of history, if you wouldn't mind, while we let this beautiful dram breathe.
Of course. So a lot of people know in Chinese New Year is about the line dancing. It's about firecrackers or the playing, people playing mahjong and getting around, family getting around to have a big meals. Children are shouting around anyway. So, but very few of them know where the Chinese New Year comes from. I'd like to share a little story of it. Even the majority of the Chinese people, they don't know. where the Chinese New Year come from the history. So in the long time ago, the time before Snow White was born, so there is a monster. It's a very old village in China, and there was a monster called Nian, because the Chinese New Year in Chinese is called Nian.
Nian.
Nian. So the monster's name is called Nian. In the Nian is was a really annoying monster. He lived in the mountain. He only came out in the deep winter time. To annoying the village people, to eating their cattle, destroy their houses, sometimes grab away their children, hurting people. The village people were really scared of this monster, Nian. Over the years, so one year, there was a old wisdom gentleman came to the village, and he share some tips to the village people to get rid of this Nian. So he asked the people to prepare firecrackers. So to fire the firecrackers, to beat the drums and gongs, making loud noises, and to put on wet clothes, put on wet paper onto the doors, windows, because this monster Nian, he was scared of loud noises, scared of the fire, and also he hated the red color. So in the deep winter that year, the village people did the same thing as the wisdom man told them to do, and that year Nian was gone. Nian was so frightened. He was afraid of going to the village, and then next year the same time the village people doing it again. So again and again this Nian become a celebration ritual. So during that period of time, people will fire the firecrackers, making big noises, wearing the red clothes or putting red things onto their houses. So that becomes the Chinese New Year.
And each year the animal changes?
No, every year is the Nian. So after a few years, the Nian was gone forever.
Okay.
So every time they doing celebration of the Nian was gone.
Very nice. So now this year we're in the year of the ox, right? And yes. Is that connected with Chinese New Year, or that's a different calendar altogether?
It's so the ox is the lunar calendar that Chinese people using.
Okay.
It's more related to the agriculture time of the seasoning, when you should to spreading the seeds in the field, when you should go harvesting or watering the plants, etc. So that's strongly related to the moon cycle. The calendar that we are using is strongly related to the sun cycle. So that's a different kind of the calendar. However, the ox or mouse, etc., the year is the Chinese zodiac. So that's another kind of the story anyway.
I see. So they're sort of in parallel with each other.
Parallel with
this celebration to keep away Nian, and then the zodiac calendar as well. So let me ask you, I'm wearing my red. I don't have any gongs. Plus I have a 5-month-old sleeping right next to me. So, you know, I can't make too much noise, but I was born in the year of the snake. So what does that mean for me? Like, does that tell me that I'm a certain kind of person, or, you know, I have certain kind of luck or something like that, or, you know?
There are 12 zodiac anyway. Every zodiac, they have their personality, so-called. Some people say, yeah, it's so the year of snake, you must be very handsome, very smart.
Of course, yes. Go on, please.
Okay, and very friendly.
That's, I mean, you know, I'm pretty friendly. I try to be, at least. Well, that's lovely. That's lovely. Very cool. I mean, so all right. So going back to, I guess, getting away from Zodiac and my selfish embellishments here. With respect to New Year's, I guess. I mean, I guess in the U.S. for New Year's, we'll go out to a really overpriced, maybe price fixed dinner or something like that, or we'll have a gathering at home and we'll watch some television and toast champagne at midnight, and actually, I feel like there aren't too many fireworks in the U.S. because in the U.S. fireworks are like for 4th of July, so you see a little bit of fireworks here and there, but I feel like fireworks are much more prevalent elsewhere around the world. But anyway, so I guess you've kind of told us how you guys celebrate with dressing up and the drums and the gongs and that sort of thing. What about, like, is there like a special kind of food that you have to ring in the new year, or is there like a little dessert that's specific, or it's just sort of whatever you like?
Normally we will have some big meals during the new year. There are foods, mainly roasted chicken. Fish is something that we must have. Then rest of them, dumplings. The north part of people, they will have dumplings. Seafoods, definitely. That's for the south part of the people. So it's a really big meals. Nice,
very good. And then, do you toast champagne as well? Is everybody toasting baijiu?
Chinese majority. So for the celebration, so it's still baijiu.
Yeah.
Of course, some people, they will use whiskey as well. So it's a time of rewarding time. It's a time to reward yourself and to get around with the family. So you wanted to have something precious to indulge yourself and to treat your family.
Well, we can certainly help people with indulging, can't we?
Exactly. With the night.
Very nice. That's very nice. Wonderful. So I guess that's a pretty big gifting holiday for you in China, like a lot of gifting of bottles and that sort of thing. Well, that sounds great. So listen, we're gonna come over. We're gonna hit up a few bars, and then we're gonna maybe come to your place for Chinese New Year sometime.
Of course.
How does that sound?
Okay, welcome.
You need to feed me dumplings and roast pork, though. That needs to happen. Yeah. Well, this is great. This is lovely. Thank you for all the information. Not only how you're doing and what you're doing with the Chinese chapter of the society, but also enlightening me to Chinese New Year. I mean, this is in all of us. Let me see if we have any questions. I don't see too many questions right now, so I think this might be a pretty good time maybe to wrap up. So thank you so much, Christina, for your time and for basically sacrificing your morning, because you're sitting here drinking with us at 9 o'clock in the morning. So cheers to you.
Cheers,
and cheers to everybody out there.
Cheers, everybody, and Happy New Year to you in advance.
Thank you so much. So we had our 2 whiskeys here tonight, both Vault's Collection Beauty Beyond Skin Deep 24.139, which is available in the shop, and then being released. Let me switch those. Being released next week, a paltry 54 bottles for the U.S. Do not go gentle into that good night. 25-year-old, 29.273. So look for that in your emails and have your nimble fingers ready. Thank you all for joining us, and Christina, again, thank you so much. And everyone out there, Slonjava and Christina, have a very happy New Year. And Christina, stay with me, okay? Don't hang up yet, okay?
Okay. Bye.
We'll do this all again. Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much. Slonja.